what's up you guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of What Am I Listening To? It's been a while, but I do have some stuff that I would like to talk about today. First, I want to touch on the Redux version of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon by Roger Waters. As a big Pink Floyd fan, and especially that 1973 album, when I heard this new Redux version, all I had to say was this: what the hell was that? Don't get me wrong, I can see where somebody would like the Redux in a way, but it's just not for me. Especially after the rocky history between Roger Waters and the rest of Pink Floyd. Roger Waters ended up leaving the band in the 80s, and they have been at each other's throats since then. I just feel like the album shouldn't have been remade. I think the original 1973 mix can stand on its own for what it is, and it's a powerful album. It has a powerful statement, and I really do think it's worth just for what it is. I really hope Roger Waters doesn't go and pull a Taylor Swift and start re-releasing old Pink Floyd records, because that would be pretty detrimental. He's already re-recorded a few other tracks, such as Comfortably Numb and so on, and they were garbage too. So, Roger Waters, please stop. Get some help. The next thing I would like to talk about is the most recent song released by the Beatles. Yes, that Beatles. It's a single called Now and Then. It's supposedly the final Beatles track ever recorded, and this song has had quite the controversy, and let me explain. So initially there were rumors saying that they were putting out a new song called Now and Then with AI technology, and it was going to bring back John Lennon and George Harrison, the other two Beatle members that are no longer with us. And everybody, almost everybody that I knew, were just crapping all over the idea. They're like, AI Beatles song, that's going to be lame and stupid. And I was on the bandwagon too, because I agreed. I thought it was a stupid idea, but it wasn't until I heard the backstory and it was more clear what they were trying to do, and it made a lot more sense. I will explain. It all started with a demo cassette tape recorded in 1977 by John Lennon. It was just John Lennon's voice and a piano on a little cassette tape. And it was just a demo, so it was literally put aside for years, even long after John Lennon's death. It was rediscovered in 1994 by the other surviving Beatle members at the time, Paul, Ringo, and George, and John's wife gave them the tape, because maybe they can make something out of it. They went to the studio and they tried to work something out, but at the time, technology wasn't really able to keep up, and they weren't able to separate John Lennon's vocals with the loud piano that was on the cassette tape. It just wasn't possible. You couldn't really hear John Lennon's voice too well, and the piano was overbearing, and it just didn't work. But they still recorded some stuff that day. George recorded a guitar solo, Ringo recorded some drums, Paul recorded some bass, but that's all that happened. The project was inevitably shelved. Many years later, in 2022, the last surviving members, Paul and Ringo, now after George passed away in 2001, they decided to go back at it again, but this time using AI technology to be able to separate John Lennon's vocals with the piano, and it worked immaculately. Now they were able to make a final Beatles song with all the members of the Beatles, including John and George, and that's really fascinating to me. After hearing the song, I said, it's a pretty good song. I wasn't blown away, but the more I listened to it, the more it grew on me. I personally say the track is amazing. I'm giving it a lot more credit than it deserves. You know, a lot of Beatles fans didn't really love it that much, but I think it was really well made. A song that was over 45 years in the making, that's just really fascinating to me. I don't know why, but it just really blew me away. So, highly recommend you listen to that song if you haven't already. Now, at this part of the show, I want to talk about a musician that I just recently discovered. And I discovered it fairly late, so you gotta bear with me. The musician in question is Tame Impala. I don't know why it took me so long to get to his music, but after listening to the album Currents, which I've seen in stores many times, and I thought it was such a really badass cover, but I never thought to listen to it. After listening to it, I was hooked. I immediately went and listened to his other album called The Slow Rush, and I also loved that album as well. There's nothing I love more than a modern artist who likes to recreate sounds from the past. The entire Currents album just sounds like a synthwave masterpiece from the 80s, and it just blew me away. I have not listened to his debut album Inner Speaker or Lonerism just yet, but when I do, I will be talking about those on the show as well. But that will be later in time. Now, the last and final thing I would like to touch on this episode is two of my favorite modern musicians possibly releasing an album next year. And those musicians are Billie Eilish and The Weeknd. After Billie Eilish finished her Happier Than Ever tour, she changed her hair from blonde to red. And I know what you're thinking. As a non-Billie Eilish fan, you're like, so? Usually when she changes her hair color from one to another, that usually means we're right around the corner for an album. And she said herself in an interview that the album is 80% done. It is unknown what the album is called. It's unknown what the subtext of the album is called. It's unknown what genre she will be moving into. I have a feeling that we're getting into more of like a rock sound, kind of like what she did for the second half of Happier Than Ever. I'm all for it. Like I said, I've been a big fan since 2019 when I discovered her debut, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? And I will continue to be a fan. So as soon as we get more information on that release, I will be talking about that as well. Now moving on to The Weeknd. The Weeknd is currently finishing up his After Hours Till Dawn tour. We really don't know what's to come because The Weeknd has always been very secretive. He loves to tease. As being a big fan of him since the 2016 with the release of Starboy, he teases a lot. He likes to keep the fans on the edge, you know. So there's a lot going to be happening for The Weeknd next year. You know, he's developing a movie which allegedly has ties with the new album, which I don't know. There's a new documentary in the works. He's also finishing up the tour, obviously, and he's going to be coming back to the States in next year at some point. And there's this new album that we don't know what it's called yet. We've heard, we thought it was called Afterlife for the longest time, but it was confirmed in a magazine that the album is not called Afterlife, but there is a song on the album called Afterlife. We've heard The Horizon. We've heard so many different ideas for title names, but the album is still unknown. There have been pictures on his Instagram with Mike Dean and Metro Boomin working on the project, but it's unknown when that project will be released. I'm willing to bet we're probably going to get some announcement by the end of the year, or a single by the end of the year, hopefully. I'm willing to bet the album might release early 2024, but that's just guessing. That's me just reaching right now. I'm thinking right around February to March. We might get something, but time will tell. Anyways, thank you guys for watching What Am I Listening To? If you enjoyed this episode and you want to see more, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And also follow me on my social medias. I'll put them right here. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.